All right, cool. So we are all set. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being a part of this group this past week with us. We've really enjoyed interacting with you girls. You've been amazing with sharing little bits of your story and what excites you, and maybe will hold you back a little bit with coaching and starting your own wellness journey. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate you being here. Tonight, we are going to share a little bit about hesitations that held us back from starting our coaching journey sooner than we did. So hopefully this will answer some of your questions or help ease some of your hesitation or your fear or insecurity or kind of doubt, because you guys, it's natural to have some insecurities and some doubt when it's something that's unknown. It's something new. It's something you've never done before. There's kind of this persona around multi-level marketing, and it can get a bad name if you don't do it correctly. Okay, so we are going to speak on a couple things that held us back personally and what we have found now that we're a part of this amazing community. And hopefully help ease some of that worry for you. So I am going to go ahead and pass it off to Kate. She's going to kick us off with her hesitation and a little piece of her story, and then we'll just kind of move along so we don't take up too much of your evening. But if you have any questions or thoughts along the way, feel free to type it in the chat or in the comments. If you're watching us live on Facebook, please feel free to drop anything in those comments below. Once we wrap up the call, we will definitely check those comments, okay? It's all you, girlfriend.
Okay, you can hear me good? All right. So I decided that what I would talk about because there were let's just be real. There were lots of hesitations for me, and my coaching story is definitely a little bit more convoluted because I actually joined as a coach to get the discount for Shakeology because I loved it so much way before Corey, this whole team was even on my radar. I had joined with another person. And so when she approached me asking me, hey, do you want to start working the business? My biggest hesitation at that point in time, and one that I think hits home for so many people, is that I really felt like I had to have it all together in order to be a successful coach. And I think a lot of that, which is not to be negative towards anyone in particular, but I think a lot of that hit home for me and dug in and took root for me with the fact that the first thing that she told me to do when I was going to start coaching was go and follow all of these top coaches. And so I did that. And so you're looking at these women and some men, because men do it too, and they have these amazing fit bodies and these gorgeous homes, and their spouses are retired, and everything just seems super together. I mean, they have these enormous incomes. It was just okay, I want all of that. I want to go to France on a mission that's paid for, and it was just but I felt like I had to be, I needed that transformation. And just to kind of, think where my head was when I was starting all of this Beachbody coaching journey. I mean, I was very heavy into postpartum life, and postpartum was not super kind to me. I had crazy anxiety that came out in rage and so much stress, and I was so lost in motherhood, and I was trying to communicate that to my husband, but wasn't doing a good job. He wasn't quite understanding. I was crazy overweight. I'm 5'2". I think at some point I weighed upwards of 230 pounds. Not only was I unhealthy, but I was carrying so much weight, everything hurt. So the fact that I saw I needed to have that huge transformation when really I couldn't even do any of the workouts because my joints were screaming because I was so out of shape. It was just really overwhelming for me, and it did hold me back for a really long time. And so I think I am going to be looking at notes here a little bit because I've had a really big truly, and yeah, I'm going to keep rolling here. So, and I'm kind of segueing here a little bit with the hesitation because I did try to coach the way that I was thinking with that. I'm okay, well, I'm just gonna, I don't have that transformation yet, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and just be like them. And I'll make it work. And I was still, when I first started coaching, I still had some super unhealthy habits. Like I was still restricting food a ton to lose weight. And, I was doing the programs, but not like 100%. I was cutting corners and I was trying so hard to be like these people that I saw on Instagram that seemed like they had it all together. And it was exhausting. And then when I would have, which Corey knows, she's been with me through a lot of this. And, when I got on the team with Corey, which you guys heard a little bit about how that happened if you watched my live from Monday, like I was still trying to be like these other women. But then like I would have like mental health, like ups and downs. Like I definitely am someone who struggles with seasonal depression. Like I was crying in videos earlier. Like we know this if you follow me at all. But so at the time, way back when, I had this image that I had to hold together because I had to be like these girls in order to be successful. And so when what I was feeling didn't go along with my image, I would just withdraw. I was gone. Like Corey can testify to the fact that I would just be gone. Like I would be all in doing posts, work in the business, and then just like I wasn't even on the same planet. I was literally non-existent. And it took a lot of personal growth and development and leaning into the groups and there were lots of calls where I would just be like crying to Corey, like, because life was so crazy. And I don't know, like it took me realizing and getting over that hesitation that I had to be like everyone else. It took me figuring out that, the only story that was real, that was worth sharing, that would feel good to share was my own. And that is a really scary, like vulnerable thing to do. And it's so funny. I read Brene Brown constantly, and she talks about how courage, everybody thinks that courage is about being the hero or like running into the burning building. When you look back at the root of the word, like courage is an extreme act of vulnerability. Like it is the most courageous we can be is when we just show our true selves in whatever form it is. And it's not to like gain likes or to gain attention. It's just to be who we are. And so for me, being able to get comfortable with showing those struggles and showing the rawness and showing the real workouts, like showing like, hey, like I struggle with food just like you guys do. And learning that I didn't have to be like this picture perfect person. Like I could be weird and quirky and like make jokes that no one thought was funny but me. And I could share, like now I can share, I see you laughing. I can share like today was a big thing for me. If you follow me, I was sharing more of my mental health journey. And it's the first time that I've really, I don't want to say sucked it up and did it, but it's the first time that I was just like, you know what? I've been telling everybody, like, we need to just be who we are. Like, I need to put my money where my mouth is. And I need to share this too. And I'm sorry if you can hear my daughter like scream singing in the background. It is a much more difficult path to take. Like for me, overcoming that hesitation that I had to be this perfect person and be like someone else. It is definitely more difficult to take that truer path, but the truer one is the right one. And I'll leave you with this because I have no idea where I'm at with time, but I don't know if I read it or if I saw it in a training, but somebody talked about how if we pretend to be someone else, all we are doing is creating a watered down version of that person. Whereas, and no one's going to connect with that. Like if you're looking to connect, that's our job, is to connect with people. I mean, we're not here to sell products. We're here to connect and make friends. And if along the way, something with our wellness community is going to help somebody, then amazing. But if not, it's just really nice to be able to connect with people. Like this whole world could use a lot more kindness. And for me, figuring that out, that instead of trying to be that watered down version where if somebody wanted to connect with that person, they could just go find the real person and follow them and connect with them or work with them. Like being my own self, it was like a relief to be able to do my own version of hard. So I think I segued way off of hesitation with that, but that's what goes through my head. And that's what I felt like I wanted to say tonight. So, and now I think it is all on to Mindy.
I always mess up the mute, unmute. I don't know what my problem is. Okay. So I shared a little bit about my story earlier in the week as well. I think one of the things that I mentioned was that I was a challenger for about 2.5 years, maybe a little over 2.5 years before I decided to coach. And so when we were talking about having this call tonight and what we were going to talk about and what our hesitations were, and I was kind of thinking back to that, and I'm like, what was it that kept me from, going all in when I very first started? Because I did love the programs and I did love the products, and I was like for myself 100% all into it. So I'm thinking, like what was it? And so like when I went back and I was kind of, walking through, some of the things that I've heard other people say, or, it's the cost is, sometimes the hurdle that you need to overcome, or like Caitlin was saying, maybe she wasn't as fit as she wanted to be to represent the company or to be that person. And so as I was kind of thinking about that, and I've shared this with these girls before, like the being able to do the work wasn't necessarily like the physical part of the work, things like that weren't necessarily what held me back, because I have this over exaggerated sense of optimism that if I put my mind to something, I can do it. And so, and I've just always been that way. And it's been very good for me in life because I've had a lot of accomplishments. But then there's other times too where I'm like, I thought I was going to be able to like really kill something, just weird stuff like, oh, if I play 50-50, I'm going to win. Like it just that kind of exaggerated. So that wasn't really the part that held me back. So I was like thinking about it. And I think, and kind of like what Caitlin was saying, like my big hesitation was being vulnerable. So I watched Corey, who was my coach, share her story, share her photos, her workouts. And I just was like, there's no way I could do that, because my this kind of goes along with the optimism thing, but my biggest fear is failure. And I think that's why I do push myself so hard and think, okay, if I'm going to commit to something, I'm going to do it 100% till I succeed, because I don't want to fail. So when I look at that and I think about, my hesitation was, I don't want to fail. I don't want to be that person that's going to help somebody on their journey and then fail them. So I don't know that I want to do that. I don't want to put myself out there and let all these people know what I'm doing. And then if for some reason I stop doing it, then is everybody going to judge me and think, oh, well, she's a quitter. She just failed at whatever she did. So for me, it was more so overcoming the hurdle of basically just getting over myself and coming to the realization that this is my journey, that's for me, and a portion of that is helping others along the way if that's something that they want to do as well. I don't have to go out and be the person who has the most customers or has the most people on my team or things like that. It's all about, if there's one person that you can help to reach their goals, you've now succeeded and you're not a failure. And so like when I wrapped my mind around that it was more of, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to worry about people judging you. You don't have to worry about, having off days or things like that. And it's more about, just leaning in and really like, joining arms with people and helping them to see that they can do it too. That is, a success. So, and again, a lot of that was to just watching some of the other coaches and then really letting that sink in, that not everybody is going to be ready to jump in right away, and that's okay. And knowing that, and knowing, just how gracious Corey was with me all the time. She asked me and I was like, yeah, not today, because that day did come, but it took me that getting to that point that I was ready for it. But she stuck there. And then that's the thing that you look at and then say, okay, well, if she was with me the whole time that I didn't want to do it, of course she's going to be with me when I decide to do it. And so I can do the same for somebody else. I don't, I'm not going to push somebody to do something that they don't want to do. But if they want to do it, then I know that we're going to have that in common and we're going to connect on that. And then I'm going to be able to help, move that person forward in their journey as well. So that was kind of my biggest hurdle, was really just getting over myself, and coming to that realization that it's, it's a personal journey, but it's also a community, and you're working together with a team of other women who have similar goals, and who are willing to help each other, and who are willing to just cheer each other on. And you don't have to be afraid of not being perfect, or not being the most fit, or not having the the biggest income or anything, because that's totally not what it's about. So that for me was that realization that I'm like, I can do this. So that sense of optimism kind of pushed past that fear of failure. And then I was ready to go all in at that point. So, and I'll turn it over to Corey then.
Awesome. Thank you, girls, for sharing. So you can kind of see that there's so many components and pieces and working parts to how we think about this, and things that our brain will start to hold us back and kind of give us those insecurities, if you will, of why we can't do this. But the reality is, if you're willing to do the work on you and you're willing to put the effort in, you absolutely can be successful. Since becoming a coach, I don't feel that there is a such thing as failure. You learn. As long as you're willing to grow from that missed step, it's just a learning experience, and you can keep moving forward. So my hesitation was having the money. And so I'm going to speak on money a little bit. And I know that this is a pretty uncomfortable topic. It's not easy for me to talk about either, because I know that everybody's financial situation is different. Everybody's goals for finances is different. And I don't want this to put anybody off or make anybody uncomfortable, but the reality is that this is a business, and that many of us start this business to create more freedom within our life, both time freedom, so we can maybe be more present as a mom with our families, and financial freedom to be able to maybe save for college, or maybe it's something small right now, and it's being able to buy better groceries so that you can provide better nutrition for your family. So I'm going to start with my story. When I was first asked to be a coach, truth be told, when I started my journey, I started on a flash drive that had P90X on it, because we had zero money to invest. Now, when I say we have zero money, I mean we had no money to put into things that we didn't care about. We still had really nice TVs. We still had the latest phones coming out. All the things that were cool, we could somehow find a way to make happen. But when it came to our health and fitness, one, I had tried so many things throughout my life, being a heavier child growing up and watching my mom do yo-yo diets. I had tried so many things before. I wasn't ready to invest. At the time, it was $200 in a challenge pack. And that was our cheapest package back then. So I didn't want to invest in it. So I had a friend who had P90X on a flash drive, and that's what we got started on. But once I started the programs, then I became a believer. And while we were living paycheck to paycheck, and while we had some nice things, it was all credit card debt. We were racking it up using the credit cards. I saved. It was in May of 2012. I saved. I asked for birthday money early. My birthday is not until July, but I asked for birthday money early so that I could purchase this $200 package to start this journey. And really, I just started to be a discount coach. I had 7 full days of Shakeology that my coach had gifted to me. I won, I don't know, in the challenge group or something, I won one of her challenges. And so she gave me 7 days of Shakeology packets. And I was hooked. Like, for the first time in my life, I was waking up before my alarm, and I had more energy, and I just felt better, along with doing the workouts and eating better foods. So I needed the discount because we didn't have the money to spend $130 a month on Shakeology. but we could make $100 work. So, or I was going to, whether or not we could at the time, I was going to make it work. So I enrolled to be a coach and took the leap of faith, but I had to know for fact that if it didn't work out, if for any reason it wasn't a fit for me, or we couldn't afford it, that we could walk away, that I could walk away. And so if that is a fear of yours, there is no contract, there is no obligation. You are not pressed to push sales or hit a certain number. You can walk away. If you sign up and you decide tomorrow or in 2 years, it's not for you, you can walk away. Okay. And that was something that kind of eased my heart, because we were living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't want to be locked into this $100 or $115 a month and not know that if something were to happen, that we couldn't walk away. So we were making things work. I kind of started coaching a little bit and helping some people, and it was helping with our income. I was at least covering my own Shakeology, and really that was my plan. Just make enough that I could cover my own Shakeology, and I was also helping a couple of women a month. But as I continued to grow, because that's what this community does to you, they lift you up, they challenge you to grow and to be a little bit better each day, to create more health and happiness in your own life. And as you grow, you just start to dream bigger. As you start to show and prove to yourself, damn, I can do that. Like, I went from 205 pounds to, before I got pregnant with my second son, I lost 46 pounds in 6 months. I had never done that. I had never worked out for that long of a period. I'd never stayed that consistent. I started to prove to myself that I could do hard things. And so as the time went on and I was in the community longer and I saw other girls achieving big goals that they had set for themselves, I started to set those goals. I started to set smaller goals, but they've grown over time. And over the last, I've been a coach almost, 8 years. For 8 years, coming up on 9 in May of next year. And I didn't work my business for the first 2-ish years of being a coach. I was more of just a discount and helping a couple people to cover my Shakeology. But in that time, I've learned to dream bigger and build more belief within myself, and just been empowered by the community around me. So our family, it didn't happen overnight, and it's not an easy task to achieve. You know, there's definitely some hard work that has to go into it, but our family is that person who signed up as a coach could never imagine being the person that she is today. It's just who I am today, and where we are and where we've worked to be didn't seem possible for that girl who signed up as a coach, because she didn't have that much belief in herself. But a little step further every single day, we've been able to create more financial freedom for our family. We are living in our dream home that we purchased 5 years ago now, which is super, super exciting. And when we first bought this house, you guys, we just bought this house. We didn't have any extras. We couldn't do a bunch of renovations. We couldn't do all the things we wanted. We couldn't get a bunch of new furniture or the new carpet that the house needed. We couldn't do a lot of things because we literally could just afford to pay for the new home and pay for our groceries and, make ends meet. But that was another step in the right direction for our dreams, right? And so I kept working harder. I kept showing up, and I don't work a ton of hours. I work maybe 3 hours a day, but that consistency over the last 5 years since we purchased this home, we've done $15,000 in renovations paid in cash this year. And I've still been able to continue to grow my boys' college funds, my own Roth IRA, so that I have a retirement since I'm self-employed. We've still been able to do all the things that we would normally do, but also be able to make our home ours. So I challenge you to think, yes, it's a $160 investment, but think about where you could be in 5 years. Think about the impact that $160 investment could make for you and your family and the things that they love to do, and how much healthier and happier you're going to be by just taking a small step forward every single day. Like Caitlin and Mindy shared, it's not one giant step. It took them a series of steps to get to where they are today. And we all have really big goals that we are continuing to push for. And guess what? We're not going to get there in one leap either. But we know if we keep showing up every single day, we are going to be at those goals. Okay. So that's all we have for tonight. Thank you so much again for being a part of our group. It was a blast. We can't wait to welcome you onto our team and just celebrate you and shout you out in the group, welcoming you. And just remember, like that post said, I think earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, that when you do enroll as a coach, you're not just, we don't just set you up and then say, okay, you're on your own. You totally get to have us all the time in texts and laugh and messages and poking you to make sure that you're doing okay and you're staying on track with your goals, and loving and support you when you need that as well. So thank you again so much for being a part of this group with us. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out to the coach who invited you to this group or comment below, and we'll absolutely answer those questions. Okay. Good night.